The formula goes like this. The chapter's name says difference of squares. So let's say difference of squares meaning, let's assume two letters. Initially, we'll assume it to be a square. The other letter we'll assume it to be b square. So a square minus b square, already in your 7th or 8th standards, you would have learned an identity which goes like this. Nothing but a plus b into a minus b. Now, how do we start off? Rule number one, see, there are few rules which are supposed to be followed, and there are few more identities which keep on getting used while solving the questions. Rule is, try to convert all the questions in form of a square minus b square. That's where the challenge lies. The challenge does not lie in writing the identity, because almost 8 out of 10 students will be knowing at least this identity. This is supposed to be one of the most easiest ones. Fine. So rule number one is, try to convert everything in terms of a square minus b square. So rule number one is convert. Rule number two is, if required, use any other identity also to convert. Fine. So other identity can be used, not should be used. Identity can be used. Fine. Don't try to restrict yourself. Now, what is the other ID usually which will be used in this specific exercise? It'll either be a plus b the whole square or a minus b the whole square. I'll rewrite that. A plus b the whole square or a minus b the whole square. Now, if you observe properly, I'll write the first one. It says a square plus b square plus 2ab. Now understand, I'll write the thing for a minus b also. It is a square plus b square minus 2ab. Now honestly, try to compare both these things. Don't you think the main difference is just the sign before the 2ab? So that is the hint. By chance, when you're trying to convert, look at the signs. If all the visible signs are positive, then you're supposed to convert it in terms of a plus b the whole square. But by chance, one of the signs are negative. And which sign has to be negative? The one before the 2ab. If it is negative, it is 100% has to get converted in terms of a minus b the whole square. That's the hint. Hint is, look at the sign before the 2ab, and that will help you guys figure out what other identity can be used. So at this point of time, if you're able to remember both these rules, more than enough for us to start off with. But understand, rule number one and rule number two go hand in hand. Okay, usually rule number two will work for all the questions, but for some questions you're supposed to use the second rule also to get back to rule number one. Okay, now let's start off with a question. We'll start off with simple ones, but yet important ones. The first question goes like this. Left hand side, it says 25a square minus 9b square. I find a minus, which is actually good for me. Now, the problem here is the squares are individually distributed. I'll make sure that I convert the question in terms of whole squares. That's one more hint. Fine. Convert the question in terms of whole squares. 25a square should be written as 5a the whole square. Getting it? Minus. Now tell me, 9b is nothing but 3b the whole square. So first step is done. What was the first step? Try to convert the question in terms of whole squares. That is done. Now, don't you think the step which I'm stuck at right now is almost matching a square minus b square? See, I'll avoid using a square minus b square. Let's stick on to x square minus y square. That's more easier for me to explain, because a and b already been used. So it is in the form of x square minus y square, where the answer is nothing but x plus y into x minus y. In this case, in this specific question, the value of x is nothing but 5a. The value of y is nothing but 3b. I'll rewrite the thing according to my form. So it'll be 5a plus 3b, close bracket, open again another bracket. It'll be 5a minus 3b. This is the answer. So what is the hint? If the question has a and b, avoid using the letters a and b, try to use x and y. If it is using x and y, use a and b. So keep changing. So to revise this question, whatever was there, I tried to write it in terms of whole squares and then try to convert it. Now let's move to the next question, which is on the right hand side. You might argue telling, sir, this is already in the whole square. No. Because before the 2a minus b, can you find that 25 there? If 25 is there, it is your duty to convert that and write it in terms of 5. So this question can be rewritten as, should be written as 5 into 2a minus b. Use a different bracket, whole square. Now it makes more sense, because 5 square is 25 and the square also belongs to the inner bracket. Minus 81b square is there. In terms of whole squares, is nothing but 9b the whole square. I hope you guys are getting that. Now, a and b has already been used. So for my convenience, I'll try using x square minus y square, where the answer is x plus y into x minus y, where the value of x is the whole thing inside the bracket and the value of y is nothing but 9b. So let us get the form. I'll use again brackets here, different brackets this time. So the answer says x plus y into x minus y. The value of x is 5 into 2a minus b. Okay, plus as it is, y's value is 9b. I am done with that. I'll open another bracket. Now the good thing about this identity here is between both the brackets, there is by default a dot there, which means it's multiplication, which means I can also ignore writing that dot. It's fine. The next part says x minus y. X's value is 5 into 2a minus b minus y is 9b. Now what happens here is, in this question, inside the brackets, if you see, there are b's repeated multiple times. So you have no choice but to expand it and try to get the answer. So what I'm going to do, perform regular algebra. Multiply 5 throughout the bracket. It is going to become 5 times 2 is nothing but 10a minus 5 times b is nothing but 5b. Plus 9b was there. I copy paste that as it is. Whatever I did in the first bracket, I'll do the same thing in the second bracket, which gives me the answer 10a minus 5b minus 9b. I'm one step away from the answer. The answer will right now be, I can simplify this part here. So 10a remains, 0 changes there, minus 5 minus 5b plus 9b gives you plus 4b. I'm done with that. I'll open another bracket. 10a as it is minus 14b. So this is my final answer. See, usually what happens, you should not leave multiple letters inside the same bracket. Therefore, I had to simplify. Getting it? Now let's go to the next question, which says 35a to the power 5 minus 108a cube. Obviously, even I'm confused. I do not know how to solve this, but the hint here is there are two parts and both the parts have a's. That's one of the hint. And both the parts, if you observe carefully, are multiples of 3. So what I'm going to do first here is, just like the previous exercises, I'll try to take common out first. So there are two parts. In both the parts, in terms of numbers, what's common? 3 is common. And in terms of letters, a cube is common. No, I'll take out a cube. Getting it? Now, after taking a cube common in the bracket, guys, I am not trying to apply any identity. I am just trying to rewrite the question in the form which I am able to understand. Getting it? Now, after taking 3a cube common, in the first part, what is remaining? A square remains, minus as it is. What is 108 by 3? Will give you 36. Only 36 remains. Now, if you actually observe right now, ignore 3a cube because it does not belong to my bracket. Inside the bracket, we'll apply the same old rules of the previous questions. I'm supposed to write everything in terms of whole squares. Now just consider a square minus 36 to be your question. Don't you think I will be able to write a square as a the whole square minus 6 the whole square? This is the main reason as to why I told, remember that in terms of rules, converting everything in terms of whole squares. That will make a lot of difference in the way I solve. And moreover, the teacher, just by looking at it, will be able to understand that you have not mucked up the concept but actually understood the concept, which means more amount of confidence when he or she is trying to correct your papers, which obviously results in more marks. Getting it? Now, 3a cube is done. A square minus 6 square was left. Ignore 3a cube as it is. Open a bigger bracket. Don't you think inside the bracket it is in the form of x square minus y square, which is nothing but x plus y into x minus y? It becomes a plus 6 into a minus 6. I would stop here. Okay, I would stop here. I don't find any sense in multiplying the 3a cube towards the whole thing. I would stop here, and this is my answer. Okay, this is one of the types. Next, look at the right type, the right hand side question. This is, again, don't get confused. Now, the reason I chose both these questions here is, if you observe both the questions parallelly, there is no square only. It is everything apart from a square. 3 is there, 4 is there, 5 is there, but 2 only is not there. We are trying to convert everything in terms of squares. Now, don't overthink here. What was the first rule? Write everything in terms of whole squares. Cool, we'll do that. A to the power 4 is there. Don't you think a to the power 4 is a square the whole square? So what happens here is, if you do not know that rule, that converting in terms of whole square, you're supposed to sit and muck up this specific step. But since you guys know the rule, convert anything and everything in terms of whole squares, you need not muck up. Minus as it is, 1 is nothing but 1 the whole square. Now, This is again in the form of x square minus y square. This is a part we're supposed to be careful little. The answer is x plus y into x minus y. We guys know that. But in this question, the value of x is equal to a square, whatever is there inside the bracket. And the value of y is equal to 1. This is important. This is kind of different compared to this. Not difficult, different. Now we'll start applying it. Don't you think this becomes useless right now? Okay. Now, value of a square and y was 7. I start applying a plus x plus y into x minus y. X is a square plus y is 1, a square minus 1. That's my answer. Getting it? Convert everything in terms of whole squares. Now, observe this question properly. I'll stick on the same rules. Convert everything in terms of whole squares. But here, I can write 4a square as 2a the whole square. I'll write the minus also. But whatever is there inside the bracket is kind of annoying me right now because it is such a big equation. It has 3 different parts inside it. So how do we solve this? Didn't I tell you the rules initially? I'm supposed to convert, and the second rule, other identity can be used. In that other identity, I taught you guys 2 things. One is a plus b the whole square and a minus b the whole square. Let's try using one of these. Let's see if it's working or not. I'll go back to the question. Here the question has all visible pluses inside the thing. All visible pluses. The hint goes like this, just like the way I told you a few minutes before. If all are visible pluses, then the answer should be in terms of x plus y the whole square. Correct? Now the problem here is what is x, what is y? Don't worry. Look at the extremes. Okay? Which means ignore the 4 BC in between. BC is not what Virat uses. Okay, now look at the extremes. Extremes are 4b square plus c square. Look at the extremes. Now write this in terms of whole squares. So this is nothing but 2b the whole square plus as it is c the whole square. Correct? You wrote this, copy the same thing, but this time inside brackets. So you write 2b plus c the whole square. That's the hint. I'll repeat that. Majority figures won't have understood that. So what do? First of all, I figure out what identity am I trying to use. In this case, I was trying to use x plus y the whole square. Got it. Now ignore the middle part. Middle part usually is where 2 or more things are merging. In this case, b and c were merging. I ignored that. So in the other language, the center part is used only to identify which one I'm trying to use, which formula I'm trying to use. That part is done here. Now, what was remaining? 2b the whole square and c square was remaining. So write whatever is there inside the bracket and put a whole square. That's how the hint works. That's it. Now if you ask me, sir, by chance, instead of this plus, what if there was a minus? It'll be 2b minus c the whole square. That's all. Fine. The middle term is always to identify which hint, to identify the hint. That's all. Okay. Now this is there. Now don't you think this can be further solved? Because this right now is in the form of x square minus y square, where the answer is x plus y into x minus y. Should we write identity before the answer for every question? 100% yes. It's just that in this case, the value of x, what is there inside the first bracket? 2a. The value of y is equal to 2a plus c. Now arrange them in order. You'll be able to get the answer as, use brackets please. X is a 2a plus y is 2b plus c. Wherever there's a minus, I tend to use a bracket because you might go wrong. 2b plus c, close brackets. Now 2a plus 2b plus c. Oh, my bad. Again, I wrote bc. Influence. Here, 2a minus 2b minus c. This is my answer. Try using the hint and try to get the answers for the next parts, the next questions. Got that? That's how it works. In fact, one of the most important types, don't be surprised if this has been asked in your exams. Please don't be surprised. Okay. Next question. 4a square. Now again, if you see here, I look at the extreme first. Okay. Because there are many terms here. I'll separate the last term here. See, because I can write that as 7b the whole square. This actually gives you a hint, which means the last term was team number 2. The first 3 term belongs to team number 1, which means I'm supposed to use rule number 2 here. Try to use other identities in order to get my answer. Now here, look at this. The center term has what? Minus, which means the identity used is nothing but, use nothing but x minus y the whole square. How was the hint? Look at the middle term here. It was minus. Fine. So hint is done. What I tell you? Look at the extremes. It is 4a. 4a is nothing but 2a the whole square. Leave some space. And what was the last term? 9. 9 is nothing but 3 the whole square. Now what did I tell you? Whatever your guys wrote, copy whatever is there inside the bracket. 2a was there, 3 was there, put a whole square. Got that? 2a was there, I copy paste that. 3 was there, I copy paste that. Now, according to the sign, what had to be in between? What was the hint I told you? In this case, the middle term was having a minus. So therefore, you blindly put a minus. That's all. Now you guys know how to solve this. This is in the form of x square minus y square, where the answer is x plus y into x minus y. In this question, the value of x is 2a minus 3. The value of y is 7b. Now, x plus y into x minus y, careful. X plus 7b into x minus 7b. This is your answer. Make sense? Practice these things. Almost a similar type. It's just that the last term was shifted this year, this specific time. Now again, look at this question here. I told you not to get confused when there's 4 here. Fine. This also, you will be able to use a hint. I'll teach you how. Very simple hint, whatever we learned in the previous case. I told you what? Convert everything in terms of whole squares. X square the whole square. Look at the extremes first. Here, this will become 1 the whole square. Now there's a plus in between. There's a plus in between. This type is also important, guys. Careful. Okay. Now focus. What and all did you get as your extremes? First of all, there's a plus in between here. So I might have to use a plus b the whole square here itself. We'll have to check right now. Fine. I wrote the extremes first. Extreme, the answers were x square inside the bracket and 1. Now here, if you look at the question properly, the middle term has a plus. It might be a plus, so I'll blindly put a plus and put whole square here. Okay, let's expand this using a square plus b square plus 2ab. A square, x square the whole square gives you x to the power 4 plus b square is 1 plus 2ab. 2x square is what you're trying to get. Now the problem here is focus. This is what you'll be getting as the answer, x to the power 4 plus 2x square plus 1. I'll pause for a second. At this point of time, you almost got the question. It is just that the 2x square is what I got the answer as. But the question has only 1x square. Now think for a second. 2 is a bigger number, which I have got in my answer. What is given to me in the question is 1. So in simple language, I am trying to convert a bigger number into a smaller number. In math, there are only 2 ways to convert a bigger number into a smaller number. You either subtract or divide. If you divide, things are going to get complicated. So let's subtract. Now you tell me, what should I subtract from 2 so that I get the answer as 1? Common sense. I have to subtract 1. 1 what? 1x square. Now if you ask me, sir, why are we doing this? I am trying to do this because I am trying to match the question. Okay, so I'll repeat the steps here. I wrote the extremes in terms of squares. Using the middle number sign, I realized it is in the form of a plus b the whole square. I expanded that. Whatever answer I got, I wrote that answer. It is just that now I compare with my question again. Almost everything was matching except for the middle term. What I got was 2. What was required was 1. I realized in math only 2 methods are there to convert a bigger number into a smaller number. Either subtract or divide. Divide is going to get complicated, so I subtract. I have 2. I want 1. I'm supposed to subtract by how much? 1. I wrote 1x square. Now focus. This is simple. Whatever I've marked, highlighted here, don't you think I can write that as x square plus 1 the whole square? I'll copy that. X square plus 1 the whole square. I'll copy the minus as it is. I'm writing in terms of whole squares. So 1x square is nothing but x the whole square. Correct? Now this is in the form of a square minus b square, where I'm going to get the answer as a plus b into a minus b. In this question, the value of a is x square plus 1. The value of b is just x. I'll apply. A plus b is x square plus 1. Plus meaning plus x. Here, x square plus 1 minus x. You can't cancel anything. This will be our answer. Important type will be asked in the exams. If they want to set the paper a little standard, they'll ask this question in the exam. These are the most important types. So just practice this. Again, if you felt any doubt was there, make sure you guys rewatch that part. Watch slowly, you'll be able to understand. Practice these questions. Just because you're sitting in front of a screen doesn't mean you understood that. Okay? Don't take screenshots. In the description below, the file has been updated. Make sure you guys download the file here, the notes. I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe for more.